Just giving everybody a minute to jump on board.
Oh, what a pick.
What's the Sunday night game?
Falcons just got an interception.
Oh, really?
Not on that one. Wasn't on McCorkle Jones. That was on the receiver.
I watched a little bit of the Jets on my airplane flight back today, and had no idea Tyrod Taylor was still playing in the NFL.
Yeah. Him and Justin Fields, not two great options at quarterback. It's probably why they're 0 and whatever.
Yeah, he was having a rough go of it. Appreciate everyone for joining us. Obviously, uncharted territory for all of us covering Georgia Tech right now. And probably most of y'all that are not retirement age. So thanks. It was a crazy game up in Durham. Wasn't really sure what to expect. That was sort of the talking points from all of us that were in the media, the Duke media that was up there. It was such a beautiful day, and they came out just looking completely like dead for the first 3/4 of the first half, and then just came to life again in the second half and got done. It was a big group of Tech fans. There were probably, it's hard to judge in that stadium because I've been in it so rarely when it was as full as it was on Saturday, but they were very loud. 3, 4, 5,000. It was the most I've seen, I think, maybe in 09, the first year I covered the team when they won the ACC Coastal up there. That was kind of a big game, and a lot of fans showed up to that. But it was so long ago; it's hard to like compare those two. It was just is going to be interesting. And then the crowd was like they were into it. They were loud at times, which was fascinating. In a road game, I imagine the TV picked up on it. Alex, you're watching it. Could you hear the Tech fans on the TV?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like overly crazy, like to me on TV, but I don't think like some broadcasts you can hear the crowd mics like this way overdone. And like last yesterday, I guess they didn't. It wasn't that much. I mean, it might have been a quiet day in Durham, but yeah. I mean, they showed the Georgia Tech like sections, and it looked like a pretty good group a few times. So
what was funny is the pep band that traveled, I think, was bigger than Duke's band. I was joking. My buddy Connor O'Neill, he covers Duke and Wake Forest for our company, and Connor, I was joking with him. I was like, he has like the two like smallest like bands in the country between Wake and Duke that I've ever seen in my life. Like it's it's like smaller than a lot of like the private high school games I've been to over the years. The Wake one was really rough. I felt for those kids. Like that was tough. Yeah, it was cool, but I feel like it was a big moment for this team to step up, win the game, and they were in comfortable control of it. Could have scored more probably if they wanted to at the end there. Let off the gas a little bit and let Duke get a touchdown, just kind of relax and basically keeping everything in front of them. So they had to drive the field. They got that last touchdown and barely got the 2-point conversion.
that's what I was going to say. That last touchdown was about the most garbage time touchdown. Like they just kind of defense wasn't all that aggressive, and just kind of let that one in there. But so 27-18 was a little misleading there at the end, but sometimes you
I'm thrilled, man. Like you got to understand, I've had to live with this stuff for the last really since 14. So it's been over a decade of sort of futility, and not really a lot of bright points, right? Like post the 14 season, because even in 15, I knew they were going to be bad. They were ranked at the beginning of the year, and I knew and 16 was a pretty good season, but like really, so 8 years now since having like a team where you sit down in your seat to work, and I'm actually expecting to write a story about them winning a football game every week, and not and like not being in a situation where I'm worried about, in my case, like how y'all are reacting to it, how the message board's going to react to all this, and then all the nonsense. So it's been tremendous, man. I'm super excited about the direction of the program. I'm really happy for Brent. I've gotten to know him really well over the last, I guess it's been 6, 7 years now. And it's been cool to see that for him and all the people that've been through all this, like the Clayton Powell Lees and the like these dudes that suffered through a lot of poor football. Jason Moore, trying to think of some of the older guys, Joe Fiesel, that were on some bad football teams and saw some crazy stuff and hung in there. And even the guys who've left, like Lamiles Brooks, who's working in that recruiting office, go check out his social media. He's like trying to drive up support, and he's been really big for them too.
I was going to say Lamiles because he posted something last night about how much it means to him to see where this program's come from, and he was in the midst of the bad days and kind of saw it through a little bit last year. Now he's still here, trying, helping out and seeing the fruits of the labor of everybody. So I like it for those guys that's been through the tough times.
And this dovetails into Ian's question. I think it's fun. I've had the opportunity to cover some good teams, whether it was here or previous stops in my career, as coaches like to say. And it makes it so much more fun, right? Like, and I've talked about the low point, which was the Notre Dame game on the road, and was it 21, 20? Yeah, 21, when they just got smoked and looked completely inept most of the game. And so it's nice to have like something cool to cover, and seeing everyday national stories, especially in our new network at On3, with having national content, having people text me, having interview requests every week to do stuff. People just being engaged in the product. It's really a lot of fun. I feel like it's a fun time. I did think it was funny when Alex texted me before, right when the thing came out about the video, and it was interesting because I wasn't sure how to ask that question to Brent. If you haven't watched the video, they put out like a cinematic recap of the game, and it opens with my question about the Duke being a favorite in the game, which seemed like obscenely weird to me. Um, Regardless kind of what you think, like it just seemed very strange. And then the line moved even more towards Duke before kickoff. Wasn't it like 3.5 or something before
I think
kickoff,
it did.
Alex?
I think it got up to 3.5 before it came back down to 3 or 2.5, like right before kickoff. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I said that all week. Like I don't know. I thought Duke has been playing better, but I don't. That was a weird. Yeah, I don't.
They also had some bad losses already this year, and it
And they
wasn't.
and they were and they were like banged up like too. This
Yep.
coming off of I don't know. That was a weird line. Sometimes Vegas. Everybody says Vegas knows what they're talking about. Sometimes they put out weird lines and miss. So I mean, for the first half yesterday, it looked pretty accurate, but um, I don't know. It's two halves in a game. I've got to remind myself. I know the board gets a little bit away from us sometimes during games, and I'm not as bad as I used to be, but like I react very quickly to what I see, and I don't know. Maybe this team is just like the biggest reminder that you can't judge the first two quarters most of the time, and for the whole game. I don't know. I've seen enough football to know that by now, but like I don't know. Maybe it needs to be driven into me even more. But yeah, that was a weird line all week. I didn't get it. I don't, but it's good. Gave as Key said, they were thankful for it. So Worked
It's
out.
sort of like the teams, like, when you put a pot on the stove to like boil water, and it just kind of sits there and it does nothing for a really long time, and then all of a sudden it starts to reach the boiling point, it gets going, and then you know, they're kind of like that. It's like the first half is that first getting the chill out of the water, like, and then it warms up, and then coming out of the half, it starts bubbling, and then by the middle of third quarter, they seem to just kind of kick it into gear. It is very strange, but it's cool to see, and you could see the pieces of this the last few years. Like, they were starting, as Brent said, you lose small, then you start to win small, and then start to win bigger. They haven't won big yet, but you're they're winning the small games pretty consistently now, and that's the biggest difference this year. Um,
I think I mentioned it on here a few weeks ago too. I had a coach that I have a lot of respect for, a high school coach that tells me, like, your team's good when, like, earlier in the season, like the Colorado game or the Clemson game or the Wake Forest game, like those games would go the other way, like for teams that are not built to withstand all that. And when you get through those games and find a way to win, then that's when you've kind of turned the corner. And he like saw that early on, and I mean,
that dovetails into what Nico's saying here in the chat. Like, Brent talks about body blows, right? That's one of his big talking points, is the body blows, a cumulative effect of attacking over and over again. And having the way they play defense, having waves of guys to bring in on defense, having waves of guys to bring in on offense. Like, having that is such a game changer for them. Like, and they didn't play a lot of guys on offense on Saturday. Zion, I think, was under 10 snaps. They played two running backs. They only had 60 snaps or something like that. They didn't have a ton of offensive snaps either. So, like, it's going to be interesting to see how this starts to unfold. But they're definitely wearing teams down in the second half, and it's starting to kind of come to fruition what Brent wanted to do there. I'll go jump up to this one. Trip asked us in the chat, and Trip's a long time sub. In terms of what this means in the or in terms of high school recruiting, yeah, it's big. I mean, they're in the hunt for multiple running backs committed to other schools. Amari Latimer is the big name with Ohio State getting predictions this past week. We'll see what happens there with him. I still think there's a chance that they end up with a different running back, and he may. If that happens, then I like Georgia Tech's chances with Amari. I don't know if they want to get into bidding war with Ohio State on that kid. But CJ Givers is committed to Duke right now. I think if they were to call him up, they could flip him, and he probably was somebody they should have taken from the jump. Given that there were apparently some concerns about the first running back commit they took from the jump. We talked about Aaron Gregory a lot. They've had other receivers come in. They have a really good receivers class. Heasy Kent and Xavier Tiller are two tight ends who are both been on campus multiple times since the season started and are very interested in Georgia Tech. Obviously, Kent was committed to Florida. They just fired Napier today, and Lord knows what's going on in Tallahassee, so stay tuned on that one. I'm trying to think of who
I don't
else.
I don't remember who exactly the post was, but kudos to the person who got me on the board with the Norvell fired post. And I clicked on it, and it was Jay
I
Norvell.
think I sent that to you too because I thought it was funny. Fired up for the
I think
game.
I saw it afterwards, but yeah, that was a good one.
That was
But
a
yeah,
good
I
one.
thought Florida State really might fire Norvell today because
They
I,
don't have the money, I think, man. Like, they've got to get it together because they owe him, was it 50 million or something
I think
insane?
it's 54, and then I think for the staff, like the coordinators, it would be closer to 100 million. So yeah, they're gonna have to round up some boosters more than they
They were
thought.
so from the beginning of the year, I talked to my buddies that cover them, and I know a lot of people. We've had uh, every single major site that covers them at one point or another. I've worked with the people on them pretty much, so I know, like, everyone in that market pretty well, and some friends with them. They're good people, and that was all we talked about at the ACC kickoff. Was like they were like praying that Norvell was like able to get 6-7 wins, and like do okay in the conference enough to kick that can down the road for a year financially for the school because they just didn't have the money to buy them out. But that's also why they're so vocal and trying to jump out of the ACC and all that. That was so much about their inability to, fund things on the same level as other teams. They were in a much more difficult financial position than, say, like a North Carolina, in terms of trying to get money to come in just because it's not there. Uh, Going back, circling back on Tripp's thing, Tico Crittenden, Florida State commit, defensive tackle, has been here more than he's been in Tallahassee this fall. Bryce Perry Wright, we've talked about before. Um, keep an eye on, like, who else am I keeping an eye on? Jordan
The
Carter, who you talked
Yeah,
to,
Jordan
the
Carter
A&M
was
commit.
he was there last week, and he told me he didn't really care who knew about it either. So, um, the kid from Florida, the running back from Langston Hughes, I talked to a little bit today, and he's
Oh, Carson Baker.
Carson Baker. I think Georgia Tech was in on him kind of early, and then kind of fell out.
He's a domino guy, though. It's like what I was talking about with Latimer. He's one where if he does something, it could impact a bunch of other guys. That's where that whole running back thing is always sort of a game of dominoes. That's how Georgia Tech, part of why Georgia Tech got Jameer Gibbs was because of how a bunch of dominoes. I think it was Zach Evans. I think I told the story on here before about what happened with him in Florida and how they screwed that visit up, and then Ohio State kind of hemmed and hawed on him, and Tashard just kept pushing. So you never know what's going to happen, and that's the one thing. You'll see predictions. Everyone wants guys to flip right now. If you flip a guy right now, it makes it that much harder to hold on to them through the December signing period. So the bulk of the flipping, I'm expecting the end of next month into the couple weeks before signing day.
That's when it was last year because they got Jordan Allen, Tay Harris, Peyton Joseph, and Shane Marshall within the last like 2 weeks before signing day. So I know y'all want it now, but it's
Yeah, just gotta have some patience, man.
yeah.
Like
And
uh,
watch those visitor lists the next two. Well, I guess the last two home games, and I guess that they'll have visitors for the Georgia game too at the
yeah,
Benz.
they'll have visitors but it just depends on who's in the playoffs or not at that point. Nancy's asking about Chris Carbon. Chris Carbon has been trying to get back in on Georgia Tech. It's been a little more one-sided on his part. Ty Cummins was not an official visit. That was an unofficial visit.
He somebody was asking about his visit. It went well. He said he really liked it, and he's a smaller back too, and so he didn't get the offer that weekend, and I think he was at Alabama this past weekend. So he's kind of seeing everywhere. I don't know if he was at Georgia the previous weekend, so I don't know if any of those three have offered yet. But he's seen his stock rise with what he's done his senior year. He's had some crazy numbers.
Williams asking about spots. So that's another interesting thing. 5 to 7 with high school kids. It's more flexible with the older kids because there's some guys that are graduating, and it's sort of there's a little bit of discretion there for Brent in terms of you know you don't have to keep a guy on after he graduates. If there's an opportunity to upgrade or whatever, then you take those. We'll see what happens. I feel like it's much more sort of fungible with the 105 cap versus the 85 scholarship limit. Um, so we'll see what happens there. I don't feel like that they're going to run up into a situation where they're limited in the portal because of this. This reminds me so much, though, right now of kind of what happened when O'Leary was doing really well at Georgia Tech. You had Alabama in a weird situation. Auburn was on probation multiple times during that stretch with Terry Bowden. You had Georgia was a little bit of a mess, and Tennessee and Georgia Tech were sort of the two teams that kind of rose out of that during that stretch that were really big. And I wonder if we're seeing a little bit of that right now too, with kind of what's gone on at Florida State, Auburn, even Clemson to a lesser extent, which is not a bad thing. Too bad it's not the team to the east right now that's in the crapper. Though they do not, they look much more gettable than they've been in a long time.
Yeah, they do. They probably should have 2 more losses than they have right now, but we won't
Oh,
worry our
someone
head.
wants. All right, Alex. Here's a question for you, man. Too neutral site playoff game. Gun to your head. GT or Bama? Bama's playing really well on offense right
That's
now, man. That would be my concern. Like, who's covering Ryan Williams and the Bernard kid? Like that I don't like that at all. And Ty Simpson's playing really well.
I
I
think
would
I
favor
think
Bama in that game, but it would
yeah,
be a tough.
I think Ty Simpson's gonna win the dang Heisman. He's playing at a very high level. He's really good. They've got tons of weapons. They don't run the ball particularly well, but yeah, they found something different in the last few weeks. I mean, yeah,
Jeffrey's asking about soft coverage. That is an intentional decision. They are playing soft to cover up deficiencies they have in the secondary. It's become clear that Blake Gideon sees what the issues are in the secondary and is doing some things with his coverage to protect them. Now, some of it's a little too soft. One of the main issues that they're having too is guys are getting squirrely in their zones and getting out of position, or just not getting. There was a play where Eford just didn't get in position before the snap. Like he wasn't sure if he was even supposed to be on the field. They had been doing all the subbing. He gets out of position. They hit a 10-yard run. Like there's a lot of weird stuff like that, or guys not dropping. One of the best plays of the day was that pass play where Tajay dropped correctly into coverage, dropped deep enough to break up a pass down the field. It was like the first time all day anyone had done that, and so that gets to like technique, Jimmy, a little bit of Jimmy and Joe's thing, a little bit of experience thing, a little bit of Gideon figuring out what he can get away with. When he dialed it up in the second half and got Mintz off his spot, that also changed things so much. That was why they struggled, because he started getting happy feet because they were blitzing him. And they weren't getting sacks all the time, but the pressure and seeing the blitzing and having to adjust to that really changed his game too. But they got carved up in the first quarter because they were playing probably a little too soft.
I was gonna say the Tajay play because that's something that Seth has been talking about multiple times in his uh, film review. Couch Coach, he is the middle linebacker in the cover too. You've got to sprint back, and you got to be in position for those seam routes over the middle. And Tajay made a great play. If he would have turned around a second before, he might have had a pick. But yeah, that was a great play, and I think he might start playing a little bit more here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, he's been playing more, and they've been using more of that three linebacker set and sliding Gilmore back to safety. Um, it'll be interesting what they do. They still really miss Savion Riley, and they're supposed to get him back at some point. His absence has been huge in terms of that rotation. They're having to play like Powell Lee too much. They're having to play Omar and Jai too much. So it'll get interesting if you can get Savion back and work him in there.
Here's the first question from the
Yeah,
board.
go ahead and let's get
Can
some
we
from the
request
board.
the huddle crew be outside of MBS on 1128? I think we might be able to put that request in. I don't know if they'll accommodate, but
I'd be interested to see where they go. If Virginia keeps winning, do they go to the Battle of the Tex? I mean, the Battle for Virginia, not the Battle of the Tex.
Virginia was
Do they?
very lucky to win yesterday.
Yeah, I
That was a
watched that
game not a
game.
lot of people saw probably on the CW.
That was quite a meltdown by Washington State there,
Yeah,
and they got screwed on a couple of really bad calls. The play that ended up getting them a safety, where they called an errant fair catch on a kickoff, was wild. And then like made the guy backed it up to the spot. They got ACC ref. I don't know if it was ACC crew or a whatever conference Wazoo's in now crew for that game. That's contract dependent, so I don't know. Obviously, I wouldn't give a crap about Virginia non-conference contract, but
they're in the
yeah, that was wild.
Pac-2. They're in the Pac-2. They play Oregon State twice this year.
Nancy's asking about Chad Alexander, Akilo Stone, Amari Harvey, uh, back after the bye or before the bye. I think the first two, Chad and Akilo, you may see before the next bye week, which is after the NC State game. Is that right?
Right. The 8th weekend, November the 8th.
Yeah. And then Amari, I'm not going to get people's hopes up. My hope is you'd see him maybe by the Georgia game. I don't know. I think that's still a TBD. But they're, they would love him to be back sooner. I think it just depends on how he heals.
He had another.
Yeah, Justin's saying he could see Manny or Tony Elliott jump for a job. If I'm Tony Elliott, I jump now. Like this is as good as your stock's going to get probably at that job. Like you had you had the best schedule you could possibly have this year in terms of the ACC with how things worked out. And you got to jump. Like if you got an opportunity, I think if you're Tony Elliott. Manny, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Manny. Penn State. Does he jump at that? Does like a Wisconsin or someone try to make a run at him that's going to have a hard time filling their job? I don't know. Manny strikes me as being actually happy at Duke, so I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. Toby came back in the game. He got hurt, and then he was out for a while and then came back. And then the stretch run, it was him and Daquan White playing corner most of the stretch run in the game in the second half. So he's okay. I don't know. I don't remember what he went down with. Man, if Manny Diaz went to Florida, that would be the Florida fans might bring out pitchforks and riot.
That's what I was going to say. They're aiming a little higher, I believe. Yeah, they're.
This man's banging on Toby, dude. The coaches disagree with you. They watch practice every day. He plays okay most of the time. He occasionally has bad DPIs and stuff. Some of the plays that have been on him have been safety mistakes. Some of them have been his. He's a corner. They're going to get beat sometimes. That's how it is. If the guys who watch practice every day disagree with you, including a guy who had no skin in it that didn't recruit him and Kobe Jones, then I would tend to say you need to listen to what they're thinking and give the dude a chance to keep playing. Someone asked me if Florida's a top 10 job in the chat. I don't think it is right now.
No, not the way the SEC is now. I think they've
now with NIL and and their leadership issues they have at Florida, which is the bigger issue. Do they even have a school president yet? I know that was getting all bungled up. Historically, it's not a top 10 job either. They won with Spurrier and they won with Urban Meyer, and the Urban Meyer thing was almost a fluke in some ways with how they won and why they won. Because of Tebow and kind of just basically being buck wild with who they took, to lack of guys that Kirby would turn a cheek to, so Spurrier was their sort of high watermark. It's a decent job. It's like a top half of the SEC job, but it's not a top 10 job in the country by a long stretch. I would say that Miami or Florida State are better set up to win with competent people than Florida is in some ways. And you don't have to play Georgia every year at those other two places, which is tough.
Florida is in the deepest SEC that's been in a long time, and they're in the state where you have to battle Florida State and Miami for every player. So, yeah, out of the job openings, I wouldn't. I mean, they're going to go all out for some big name, but they might end up having to go to option B or C or further down the list because I don't think the top guy is going to jump at that opportunity.
Well, Lane Kiffin's is the guy that Florida wants, so we'll see if they get it done or not. He's, almost went to Auburn a couple of years ago.
Auburn might be open again, so.
Yeah, that one's to the point where I got a call this morning just asking me about a little background on Brent. Not that he would be interested in that job, but
I
It
will
was
say
more like
I would rank the Florida job ahead of the Auburn job. I'll say that.
all right, the top jobs, if you were to look at it in a vacuum in college football, you have to look at resources and all that other stuff. They're like Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, in the Big Ten. Those would be the three. The top SEC jobs are LSU, Texas,
Georgia.
probably Georgia and Alabama,
Yeah.
and then probably Clemson, Florida State, and Miami in the ACC. Big 12, I guess Texas Tech right now because
Yeah,
of the
Texas
money.
Tech.
But historically, that's what's so amazing to me about the Big 12 stuff is they like have no history of like really winning with any of the teams there. They're all kind of the middle of the pack teams from other conferences kind of fused together.
Yeah,
Where the game day threads like the purge. They are like the purge. That's the analogy that I've used many times.
yeah, if the
Like
LSU
what's the
job
best
comes
Pac-2
open,
job?
if the LSU job comes open, that goes straight to the top of the list for me because that's a very good spot to be in.
I think Florida State's a better job than Florida because I think the Florida State fans are a little more rational. Like, and the culture's not as toxic. Like, credit where credit's due. Norvell did clean that up of it, like a bit, and the leadership there. Like, Florida has like from the top down problems. That's what you see everyone. Go read what national people think of the Florida job.
I think
I'm
Franklin.
curious what James Franklin does.
I think he would be a good fit at Florida. He won with Vanderbilt in the SEC. I think he could do some similar things with Florida.
He's my dark horse at Virginia Tech if Little Beamer
Yeah,
doesn't end up jumping from that South Carolina job.
yeah.
All right, let's get back to talking about Georgia Tech.
Let's see here. Here's one on the board. What is a catch? Not sure why the two steps for Isaiah weren't enough. I agree.
I thought it was a catch too, man. When I watched it live and he got twisted up and the ball hit that guy's knee, I thought he had made a football move, and
the guy pulled him to the ground and ball came out. Like it was two separate things that happened. He caught the ball, he got 2 feet, he spun, and he got pulled to the ground. It should have been a touchdown. That ESPN like rules guy even said that they got that wrong. They had the thing where they listened in on the review again yesterday on the broadcast, and the guy was like the guy that was talking from the center was like, yeah, he didn't complete. He's going to the ground, so he didn't complete a catch, but he wasn't going to the ground. He caught the ball, spun, and then went to the ground. It was a frustrating play that could have had some big consequences later on, but they took care of business. So
yeah, like they had some bad replays, like the one on the Jake Taylor kid juggling the ball that like flew over like John Mitchell's head. Like that was as clear. Like they buzzed down to replay that, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like I was like, I could see live that was a catch. Like it wasn't close. Like if you saw the one quick replay they played in the stadium, wasn't close. But yet, by the way, credit to Duke, man. They replay every single play, good or bad, in the stadium on the jumbotron, which is something I've never seen anywhere else.
I'll say this: I expect in practice this week that there will be
The ball hit
emphasis.
Canyon's knee, by the way. That ain't about being strong or not. He was twisting, and the ball came down on the guy's knee, which, unless you have, two catchers mitts for hands, is going to come out. Like that ain't on Canyon holding onto the ball or whatever.
But I think on that juggle ball where the guy came in back and caught the ball, I'm saying that this week in practice, Georgia Tech is going to drill like if the ball goes up in the air, you clean the receiver out. You put it like
just drill him.
Yeah,
I think Mitchell was like shocked.
Yeah, he was like looking up in the air.
Looked up. He was like,
yeah. So they're gonna be worrying, working on that this week and watching that, and that's what they're gonna do.
Oh, were they reviewing the spot on it? That would make more sense. We didn't have the broadcast, so I don't know, and the ref didn't say what they were looking at. They just said it was under review. So if it was the spot, that makes a little more sense. But again, he was down where the ball was, so like I don't even know why that would be something you would really need to discuss.
I say very low
4-bit
chances.
a 4-bit ACC, brother. Unless you change that to SEC, I'm not holding out hope for that to ever happen.
Yeah.
Is the line 17.5?
I saw
For the
18 today.
Syracuse?
So,
Holy smokes.
yeah.
They're betting big on Brent getting some revenge this week.
I mean, Syracuse has looked pretty awful the last few weeks. I don't know what the final score of that.
They ended up playing their third quarterback in that game. I know that. I couldn't bring myself to watch that. I'll watch like the condensed game or something tomorrow. I have not watched Syracuse since Angeli got hurt, so like I can't offer you any scouting report on them yet. I was not that interested in watching that game, and I was watching USF play at that time. What are your plans to deal? Oh, you know what? This is for you, Alex. Alex. So for those who don't know, Alex does the opposing coach interview at Tech Game. So he has to be in a locker room in a closed environment with Fran Brown if he loses the game.
I'm sure that'll be an interesting interview afterwards. I was joking with somebody today about how one of us needs to ask Brand about give him a do-over on how their relationship was at Western Carolina. Like, give him a chance this year to whatever, to say how good of friends they were or whatever. But
like I worked in a newspaper, it'd be the equivalent of someone asking me about like somebody that interned in the advertising department at the newspaper when I was there for like a couple of months. You know, like they were on the other side. Like it's so crazy to me that was like that Fran drummed that into some sort of slight against him.
yeah, get up somehow. Here's a question about recruiting. Do you think our recruiting woes this season are a result of a bad schedule, or are athletes seeing us as untested? I think that the bunch of these recruits got their spot locked in over the summer, and now they're kind of going back and thinking about things. It's not. I don't think it has anything to do with the schedule or whatever. They locked in their spot, and then now they get a chance to kind of look around a little bit more. That's the way recruiting is right now. A lot of times you get
dinner reservation.
Yeah, you get your OVs done in June. You commit in June or July, and then you either stick with that or you look around again during the season. So that's why the flips happen in November and December.
And they go both ways. Like one of the things that Brett Key will be looking at now too is like allocation. So, what do I need to pay Isaiah Canyon to keep him around next year? Or what do I need to pay Amontre Bradford? Or do I need to pay someone less that hasn't performed as well? So those are the things you look at along with what are my needs in the class, what's going to be available in the portal, who's like coming up and wants to come here. Alex could tell a funny story that I'm not going to have him tell on here about a player at another school who literally was talking about coming here in the portal, who's not in the portal to Alex. So that was weird before a game. Where that dude, it's not that Tech showing interest in him. He just is interested in coming here after watching the team play. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I've got that number saved for later on. He's had some good games lately. I'll just say that. There's a question about why is Shane Marshall returning kickoffs. I understand he hadn't got a lot of chances, so he's
made a lot of freshman decisions back there.
Yeah. Yeah, that one yesterday probably should have.
That was a terrible decision to like come out, especially when he juggled the ball. It's like, just take a knee, dude. Like as soon as you juggle that thing at all, like you got to just take a knee.
It was not Diego Pavia. I think he is out of eligibility officially, unless they sue the NCAA again for another year. I don't know.
Williams warning you to not get Georgia Tech on probation.
I'm not giving anybody clothes like back in the day.
You didn't give him like a little swag bag of used clothes.
I didn't take him to
Wendell
Carter. Who was that?
That was Wendell Carter that got taken.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it to the Cheetah or Magic City? Maybe it was Magic City. I don't remember which one it was. Chat's having their own like conversation. That's pretty funny.
I was reading that.
They're getting trolled by somebody. Let's take a second here, Alex, and talk about our friends at Section 103.
Let me throw this on real quick. Oh man, nice new polo. Nice new polo from Section 103 came in this week. It's very
Section
stretchy.
103 tech gear for tech fans. They have some other schools now they're repping as well, branching out a little bit. Support Georgia Tech people who want to provide you with Georgia Tech gear and cool stuff. You get the Brent Key hoodies, the Haynes King stuff, which is going to be quite collectible of the way this season's going. So go support Section 103. Great dudes. They do tremendous work, and it's a mom and pop operation run by Georgia Tech fans. And y'all apparently are buying up their stuff because Chad's saying in the chat that they've been run out of some stuff.
I think they got the polos back in stock this week. I don't know if they're back out of stock again, but that's when I got mine to come in. So yeah, polos are nice, comfortable, stretchy for the bigger guys like me.
That's an interesting question in the chat. Katie's asking if they were to do like a Proctor, like, so USF's doing this now too. They have like a jumbo set with like an offensive lineman. He scored touchdowns in back-to-back weeks is on the dive. He scored against FAU last night, Cole Skinner. So Caden Proctor guy, who would it be? Who would be athletic enough to do that? That's an interesting question.
I think Keelan Rutledge would be the coach's favorite choice to do that, to kind of reward him for all the other stuff he does. But I don't know. He might not want to have the ball in his hands. Yeah, Harrison Moore was athletic. He played some extra tight end last year.
The guy is really big, who I'm sort of curious about, hasn't ever played yet, is Jordan Floyd. It's just like a massive human. Wonder if you could do that with him.
I mean, I'd like to see Carney get a carry, like short. Get a play. I don't know if he'll hold on to the ball, but yeah, he'd be rumbling and bumbling.
Tana. I don't think you want to do that with your backup center, or your starting center, depending on how they line up. But yeah, it's pretty funny. I have been pushing for that so far. It has fallen on deaf ears. I keep bringing it up when I see Buster. It'll be, I don't want to get into like predicting guys in the portal. You can go back and look at who they have relationships with. That's going to be the first sort of wave of people that you would, guys they recruited out of high school. That would be the first wave of people they'd be interested in. And then the next wave would be guys who are looking for fits, opportunities, things like that. So I just don't see how Norvell's going to how they're going to pull the money together to fire Norvell. They're going to have to go to like Saudi Arabia and like get one of those oil barons to like give them money or something like Mike Lombardi was trying to pull off for North Carolina. Cause like, otherwise I don't see how it works. Like they just seem too tapped out. Malik's doing okay. Malik came back in the game and played some. They were in a lot of heavy sets. Using two tight ends and stuff, so there was a little bit less slot action. They kind of leaned on Bailey and Jordan more. I think Blake's just banged up right now.
I think Vincent Anthony's a graduate student, so I don't think he's.
Yeah, I don't know what the story is, if Brent knows him or Brent was just complimentary of. They held him in check, man. Like he was, he came in the game with six. He was averaging six. He had 6.5 sacks this season, so he was averaging like a sack a game. And he was shut down. He got dinged up in the game.
Yeah, he came out, I think, 2 separate times, like not looking like he was feeling all that good.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Lots of people are sick. I was home last week sick with a sick toddler. He's sick with something else now. Like a lot of people I know are sick, so we'll see what happens. Anthony's mom was on Twitter saying they got screwed by the refs. That's always a fun one.
Yeah,
what else is in the chat?
Yep. There here says rank the following on
not the chat, on the questions.
Rank the following on what it would mean for building a top-tier sustainable program. Number one, beating Georgia and Mercedes-Benz, winning the ACC, and making it to the college football playoff. I was having this conversation with my family and cousins and friends group chat today. I think beating Georgia is I don't want to say people are going to get on. I think beating Georgia is more important than I would say if they lose to Georgia and make the playoff, that's great and all, but you're always going to have that kind of pit in your stomach of, man, we lost to Georgia.
Well, that's the thing that people were annoyed about with the 2009 season, right? They still talk about, other than the NCAA bullshit. But like, sorry, but that they lost, that Bebe dropped the pass, and obviously Bebe got honored today by the Broncos, by the way. So that was nice to see. But Bebe dropping that pass and all the stuff that happened, and that's what they don't talk about, the Iowa loss in the Orange Bowl. It's the loss to Georgia. Or the loss they had against Miami in the regular season. It's the loss to Georgia that sticks in the craw of everybody. And in 2014 they won that game, and so no one talks about even the two bad losses they had in 2014 to Duke and Carolina. No one really talks about that because they were satisfied with the season. They beat Georgia, they won the Orange Bowl, beat the team who had been number one in the country at one point in Mississippi State. And this is as gettable as Georgia's been with Kirby since he got it going. Like, they are very not good on defense right now, and their offense is carrying them, and it's not been great either. So if you're gonna get him, this is the time to get him. But I to me, man, I'm about, to me, it's about championships and stuff. But I don't come from it from the angle Alex does. I didn't grow up a Tech fan or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up a Georgia fan either, for that matter. So to me, winning a championship is something remember for a lifetime. But I think given the rivalry and the lack of wins on Georgia Tech's side over the last decade, people want to see that.
There's been a couple comments about it. I think that the example of Ohio State and Michigan last year. If you ask an Ohio State fan, to be completely honest, I'm pretty sure that they're excited they won the national championship, but there's always that Michigan's got that over them. They can say that they beat them last year, and Michigan had a bad team last year, or an 8-win team. So there's if you had Ohio State fans be completely honest, they would say, yeah, that still kind of stings. We won the national championship, but we lost to Michigan, and when we probably should have beat them, we've lost 4 years in a row to them. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the Georgia thing. And yeah, if you beat Georgia, you're going to the playoffs anyway. So unless something absolutely crazy happens over the next month. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I see it. But yeah, I've lived around Georgia fans my whole life that have kind of had Georgia Tech as a joke, second fiddle, whatever, and that kind of drives me a little more than other stuff. So,
and maybe the way last year ended and all that plays into it too. That was as bitter a pill to swallow as ever covered here. So, and as Chad says, how about you win them all? Amen, brother.
That's cool with me.
No one would be happier than, well, there lots of y'all would be happier than I would, but I'd be up there and love my level of happiness. Zion and Dean, yeah, they played 60 offensive snaps on Saturday. There was not much opportunity for them. They didn't really have any long drives or anything. It just, it stinks. And yeah, Haynes definitely, he's got a hit on that, man. They've had so many of those plays wired up for him or Rivers or different guys, and he's just underthrown it, overthrown it, mostly overthrown him a little bit, and just put it out there where they can get it, man. We'll see. Yeah, and Brent probably is with Alex on this, so trust me, nobody There's literally not another human on earth that wants to beat Georgia as badly as Brent Key right now. But if you won a national championship, but yeah, I guess it would seem tainted to some Tech fans. That is such a tough.
I admit that it would. Like, yeah, I
That
admit
is
it.
tough.
I mean, that's crazy to say. I understand, but yeah, there's something about it.
I did enjoy being in the hype video. It was funny. I'm glad that it didn't stumble too much on my words asking the question. Jared's talking about being worried about the Pitt game. We'll see. They're a good offensive team. They're dangerous. We'll see if the quarterback holds up. He got killed yesterday in that Syracuse game. And what are their motivations at that point of the season too? That's a whole other thing when you get into that next to last game and you're on a team that's probably not going bowling.
I'm pretty sure that Pitt has.
All right, here you go. Meet my plane as the scenario for you, Alex. There you go. Lose to UJ, win the ACC, and then beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be a dream.
I'd say you guys got to worry about Syracuse right now. Like, let's table the hypotheticals.
I know I'm getting way ahead. I shouldn't do that.
You guys got to remember this is a long season. Like, they have not smoked anybody yet. They're not this ain't Oregon laying the wood to Rutgers like they did yesterday. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that. It was I think it was 45-3 at the half in Piscataway. So congrats on your move to the Big Ten. It's really working out for you, Rutgers.
Pitt,
super competitive. Maryland also not drawing anyone for their games. They had the lowest amount of people at Nebraska has ever played football in front of the Nebraska game at College Park a couple weeks ago.
Pitt has Notre Dame still too. Like I think it might be the week before Georgia
William. Tech. I mean,
there would be,
brother. I don't know that you're wrong in saying this, but it is funny.
There would be DOT projects like all around the stadium 365 days a year.
Yeah, DOT project in front of Brent's house.
Yeah.
Just like rip out the road in front of Brent's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice to talk about something other than if they're going to be bowl eligible or going to the Birmingham Bowl or the Yankee Stadium Bowl or the Fenway Bowl. Or mercifully not going to the Saudi Arabia Bowl that Brent McMurphy wrote about this week. You guys feel free to look that one up on your own too.
That'd be quite a trip. Might not get back.
Yeah, I'd be very nervous going there. I would literally buy like a dummy computer if I had to go to that place, or like buy one of those like Google things that are like $100, the Chromebook or whatever it is. Not take my real computer.
Let's see here. Here's a question about Key. When does he get another extension raise? They're going to take care of him.
So all that's been in the works already. Like that was as soon as he beat Clemson. They've started that process of figuring out and going to Brent and Ed, his agent who works for Jimmy Sexton, and figuring out kind of what the needs are. What does Brent want? The one thing I give him credit to that Paul was not good at is Brent vocalizes and is very upfront with everybody about what he needs. Coach O'Leary met with all the boosters for the last home game and kind of laid out how much money they needed to add to the NIL pot and what Brent needs in terms of support, staff money, all of those things. All that's very much in play. And so they're committed to making it work. Brent's committed to being at Georgia Tech. The only way I see Brent leaving is if there's not a path to win here for some reason. And as of right now, there's a good path. So the NIL has been helped a lot, though, with the way the year's going. But they still need people. They still need your money, especially if you're a rich person and can afford to give some money. So don't be shy of cutting those checks to the NIL fund right now if you're a Georgia Tech fan.
Let me see.
Jared's asking if we're surprised to jump to 7. I don't think so. I think when you win a game you're not favored in, and that everyone thought was going to be this big trap, that kind of gets everybody's attention. And to handle your business in the second half and win it the way they did on the road. And then you had just absolute chaos in the
Yeah,
top
that's what I
10.
say. Everything else kind of worked out in the top 10, and Tennessee lost in front of them. LSU lost. So, yeah, it was. I didn't know if they were going to get to 7. I thought they'd be around the 8, 9 range. But, yeah, 7 was a little surprising. But
And I have no idea, by the way, what Brent's contract will look like or any of that, because I think it's dependent on a lot of other factors. Like I said, making sure NIL is covered, making sure that his staff, he has what he needs for his staff, that kinds of thing. So, old Johnny Bulldog got banned from posting it all on 3 message boards. And he made the mistake of messaging me, which was a tactical error that made it very easy for me to put that dude in permanent jail.
he sent me a few messages. I had a little fun with him, but he
called me king of the nerds, which I thought was very funny, but I was just like, man, this guy's like messaging all these people who posted the board. I was like, this has got to stop. It's annoying. Yeah, and Alpert's been working on Brent's aspect. Alpert's big thing, though, has been working on NIL. So
here's a good question. I talked about it in my takeaways last night. It says, I know this team is taking the next step, but what is the next step this fan base needs to take to help us look like more of a top 10?
Show up on Saturday. That's
exactly
the biggest thing.
It needs to be a
sellout. You're in the stands,
Saturday.
be loud.
Yes.
Like, drunk and obnoxious is great too, but be loud, right?
Upper decks, both north and east, and they need to be full on Saturday. Homecoming, you're 7-0, 7 in the country. This needs to be the week. There needs to be a sellout. Every seat in there needs to be full.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Strat Jacket makes a great point in the chat. You never know what's going to happen week to week, right? Texas Tech just lost. You've had a bunch of scares or close calls from other teams. You've had a ton of upsets this season already. Like, don't take anything for granted right now. Enjoy it. Enjoy each win. Enjoy the opportunity to show up, support your team, support Coach Key and the boys. They have certainly done everything necessary to earn your support. And I think you got to just ride the wave, baby.
Texas Tech was down to their backup quarterback yesterday too, and I got a reminder on my Facebook today. A year ago today was the Notre Dame game, so we know all about you. When you get down to your backup quarterback, you get bad injury luck in the middle of the season. So yeah, anything can happen with that. So
I will proudly drink from a King of the Nerds mug if you guys give me one.
Here's a question.
Yeah, I'm having a great time, man. It was fun, like I was excited running down to go talk to everybody after the game. Like, it was good to see everyone's spirits so high. Like, I tweeted on X or whatever. I was like, a pal was actually wearing GT, like, tie pin, which I never see. I almost gave him a what's the good word, and then, like, I was like, so many people act awkwardly if you ask them that I didn't do it. But I started to say something to him, and then when I got on the plane, because he walked by me on the jet bridge, that's where I saw it while we were waiting to get on the plane, and then there was a stewardess between him and the cockpit doing talking to them or something, so I couldn't talk to him when I got on the plane, but it was cool. Do I think FSU and Clemson are legit cursed? I mean, I know FSU's cursed. The guy didn't eat the poop, man. I saw a great tweet about it today. Somebody did like the Thanos meme, and it was like about them being cursed because they didn't eat the poop.
Well, they were 3-0 to start the year, and then it's fallen off a cliff since then. So, there's a question about the wrinkle formation they used in the third quarter. they run some weird stuff like that in practice. So they have plenty of that stuff they can pull out. And yeah, it worked. It worked very well to find JT Byrne over the middle.
I did not know Jack Wilkinson, the AJC rider. I don't think I ever had the pleasure to meet him. Someone was asking about him in the chat.
Yeah, JT Byrne got that right down the seam there and almost rumbled into the end zone, but
it almost looked like he ran into the contact of
yeah.
the guy instead of like trying to go around him.
Let's see here.
So Steve's saying that they're having the concessions are overwhelmed. Yeah, I mean they're built and set up for an amount of people that they've been consistently getting. You're not gonna overstaff. It's like if you've been to the basketball arena, they never have the concessions upstairs open, because they're not used to. So it'll take time to adjust back to having big crowds in there, and they're going to do, I'm sure, some renovations and things. There's nothing Ryan can do about that in the middle of the season, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know. You could put in a couple stands, I guess that would be it, but it's hard because there's probably legal ramifications of that because of the amount of people and how much space they have to walk. I don't know. That's all over my head, man.
I hadn't been into the North Upper Deck in a while since I was a season ticket holder several years ago, but they used to like lease out the I mean, they would have the normal concession items, but they would like local bands or local, I don't know, whatever would come work it and like get a cut of the money. But
They get donations, yeah, for whatever they're raising money for.
Yeah, so Jack Wilkinson, I don't know. I had a devotion book about Georgia Tech football like stuff. I don't know if that's one of the things he wrote. It sounds familiar.
Did the Chiefs ran the flex bone today with fake motion on fourth down? That's fun.
I saw they won 31-0, so against the pitiful Raiders.
I'll tell you all a funny story about this real quick. I was telling Liam Klein, who's back at Georgia Tech, who worked for Coach Gailey and Coach Johnson, and then went with Bohannon to Kennesaw. And when they got let go, Brent brought Bo on, and then Liam started to catch on. He's back in the recruiting office at Tech. But my oldest son has never shown any interest in football until like the last year and a half or so. He's in sophomore in high school now. So he's learning the college football video game from like last year's video game. And he had me like select different plays for him. So I was showing him different stuff. And I showed him some speed option, like in the playbook in the video game. And he was like, "Oh, it's real cool." So he like gets real crazy with pitching the ball. So we were playing. He likes to play me, and I pick a team. Like he'll pick a good team, and I'll pick a less like good. So we played, and I was like, "Watch this." I picked Army and ran basically Paul's offense with Army against him, and he was like amazed seeing all the different option plays and how it all works and the flex bone. And it was very funny because he was like, "Oh, this is like my friends are gonna hate me. This is like unstoppable." And I said, "Yeah, if you know what you're doing on a video game with the option, it is." I was like, they outlawed most of the stuff that made it work in real life, so that's why no one's running it anymore. But I thought it was funny that my son took a shining to the option offense in the video game.
The old cut and chop blocks, and blind sides, and the thing of the past.
He was like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing." I was getting him with like the midline and like running triples and stuff. And it was very funny. I was like, "Man, it's like you should just videotape this. You'll get a kick out of his reaction."
Here's a question from Marty on the board. Will 10-0 Tech versus 8-2 Pitt be the 8 p.m. ABC game with College Game Day live from the Flats?
Probably not. Ian's asking if they're saving stuff for Georgia. I don't know if they're saving stuff for Georgia, but I guarantee you that's when Buster really will get into his bag, as they like to say. Was it the Colorado guy that did like videos, kept saying that they weren't dipping into what was the OC's name? That was a former NFL guy at Colorado.
Pat Shermer.
Yeah, Pat Shermer wasn't digging into his bag. I was like, I'm pretty sure his bag's pretty shallow, based on everything I've seen from them. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure you're running out. From the media, who's the most hated ACC coach?
I
That's
think
an interesting question. Who do you think the most hated ACC coach is, Alex?
I think I don't know if I'd say hated, but I think the one that they've changed their mind on in the last 4, 5, 6 years the most is Dabo, because he can be a little much sometimes on the media with his way he does things. He's kicked it up a notch in the last several years about the kind of the poor me Dabo.
The chat's definitely hitting all the winners in this. I think Norvell's fine, actually. I don't have an issue with Norvell. He was very nice to me, like in a situation way away from the game, and has always seemed very solid. Narduzzi's definitely seems like kind of a prick. Franz is definitely out there, and that kind of, he's got a little bit of Kanye energy, for lack of a better term. Dabo with our NIL is, Jesus or whatever it was he said. Like, there's a lot of that was really beyond sanctimonious, especially if you kind of follow what's going on. But yeah, we'll see. There'll be a point where people where people get mad at Brand or somebody, like they got mad at Paul. Paul told people to punch their punch their coworker or neighbor or whatever that barks at them. It happens. But yeah, Fran's the one that just seems so unhinged to me, and I don't know, like I don't understand it. Like there's no need for any of that. Like it's like he's an act. I don't know. Maybe it's how the guy is. People loved him as an assistant. That's interesting. Belichick, I think everyone's just sort of laughing at what's going on at Carolina. At this point, it's like beyond comical.
They should have won on Friday. That was
my God, what a way to lose! Oh, holy smokes!
Yeah, that
was incredible. It was almost as bad as how Florida State lost their game last night too.
Yeah, I fell asleep. I didn't see the end of that. I didn't go
see
back
it till today when I sent you the clip. I was like, oh my God, that's how they lost.
And I didn't see the hit on Castellanos either till today. Like that was about the worst that I've seen in a long time. He was out. That was a cheap shot, big time.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see it. And sometimes these guys figure things out as they go along and mellow out or whatever. Maybe that's what'll happen with Fran. I don't know. It just comes across poorly to me. Whereas, like, Tony Elliott or like Dave Doran or whoever seemed very like chill and calm. Like Narduzzi's a screamer. He's annoying. Complains so much. Brahms is a little unhinged, but Brahm keeps it in check. I was trying to think. I don't really know I don't know either of the West Coast guys at all. Lashley, don't know much about him. I don't know that I've ever met Lashley or Wilcox or Frank Reich. So
I think Cristobal is pretty. From the
Mario's a good dude. Mario's
is.
No one dislikes Mario, Cristobal, or Manny. Manny seems like a good dude too. Like no one dislikes either of them. Dickert seems perfectly fine. Brent Pry was fine. He was okay.
Tony Elliott
most
seems
of the league's
pretty
okay.
Tony Elliott kind of seems like a just something more soft spoken guy and not as crazy as Dabo that he came from. Like he's just a more straight down the middle kind of guy. There's a question on the board about the how likely is Buster to come back for 1 more year with Philo. I think he's back for at least a year or two because he just signed that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Buster unless Buster gets offered a pro job or a coordinator job, it is he can't turn down. I don't know that he's in a hurry to be a head coach. And like that's I've gotten more and more of this vibe over the last like eight months that he barely like he doesn't want to talk to us. Like, how are you gonna do media every week as a head coach or go? He's not a guy that likes to go glad hand and fundraise and do all those things. He enjoys calling plays, be coaching ball. He's an old school coach, and so it makes me wonder about if that's even. It's something we've never really talked about. It's not something I've talked much with him privately about, other than when his names come up on stuff. But I think Buster's pretty happy with the situation. Brent gives him free reign to kind of run things. Um, and he's about to get his quarterback that's like primed for what he actually really wants to do offensively for the first time since he's been here. So that could turn into, I could see him taking like an NFL job at some point, but like, I don't know. I think he's pretty happy with it.
That's what I was going to say. I think he's very excited about what the offense can be with Philo, and like he's gonna have it dialed in with him. He don't want to turn that opportunity down to go take another job somewhere next year.
So here's a question about Gideon and comparing to Buster. They're like polar opposites. Like Buster's like kind of a laid back Southern guy. Um, Aw shucks. He reminds me of so many like high school coaches I've known over the years in the South. Gideon is just like super intense, like a super intense, serious dude, like super serious all the time. Um, just pro kind of personality. It is very different than anyone that I've covered in a while. And he doesn't let his guard down a lot. Doesn't let a lot of people into his thing.
Gideon
And
is
they're all Buster and Winky's guy. You guys are so funny with that. Winky loves Aaron Philo and Graham Knowles, and so does Buster. Like, there's no like Buster. You guys are funny, like about how all this stuff works. You'd be amazed. And there's a lot of weird internet conspiracies on these guys.
I, I
I think
think
Gideon wants to be a head coach in the NFL. Like, if I
yeah
were to hazard a guess, that's where that's his pathway, like what he's moving towards.
yeah, and I think he's a Texas guy. He was a former walk on. Like he's a very intense. Like that's the way he was going to be in the military. I think he talked about that in preseason. Is like he I think he was going to go to the Marines or something, and some health thing held him back. But yeah, he's a very intense. Like that's the way he got to where he is working hard, being intense. So that's kind of the way he coaches.
So when that was asked on the site over the weekend about Demo. Demo still like likes tweets and stuff. I haven't talked to him in probably 6-7 months. It'll be interesting to see what happens if Beamer were to leave South Carolina. I think he would come back.
Let's see. Here's a question about the offensive line. If Tana stays healthy, does Harrison take over left guard for the rest of the season? That's kind of the
No, I think they'll still play Joe
yeah.
Feasel. So I mean, Joe's an anchor person in the program. Like, and he didn't play bad in the Duke game. He was okay, but they're just a little bit more dynamic with Tana and Harrison, and they started moving the ball, and so you roll with what's hot. And then Harrison got dinged. Joe came back in, played a little bit. Then Harrison came back in and finished the game.
And I mean, you use more bodies. Josh Petty got in yesterday when Carney was out, and
McKinney.
McKinney. That's right. Yeah, and then Carney and Riggs have kind of probably been like 75-25 split, maybe a little more than that. But yeah, it's good to have extra guys there that they feel confident in.
Dre Fuller's played plenty. He played 25 snaps last week, 23 the week before. He's playing a lot. Justin. It hasn't done anything. Yes, Demo left because of Jeff Collins, and Tashard sort of took over that role. But yeah, no. He was definitely, I think, disgusted with what was going on with Jeff, and he wasn't prioritized in his role as the team chaplain. And for years, I really like Demo, and I would try to help him out as much as possible and push to make sure he was taken care of. And he's one of the best people I've been around in this at Georgia Tech, and hopefully he gets a chance to come back at some point. Folks are asking about Singleton. It is funny that Jeff and Demo are on the same staff now. Demo's in a much higher position in the way that organization works, though. People asked about Singleton coming back. I don't see it happening. His production's not been very good at Auburn either. They're like forcing the ball to him, and it's still not doing very well.
He had I think he got a shovel pass in overtime last night against Missouri and got absolutely destroyed in the backfield.
I think he had 6 for 35 or something in the game.
Yeah, none of the Auburn receivers are having very good seasons because
the quarterback play is quite terrible.
Yeah, Arnold's not great.
He had a great game against Alabama, and when he was at Oklahoma, and that was about it. It's pretty rough for him throwing the football. Is there anything else on the?
Yeah, there's a question about Hosley and Haynes again. Seems like Hosley's more dynamic, is what the poster's asking. I don't know. Hosley's had a good season. Haynes is still a very good running back. They're gonna use both of them. They're gonna use Maddox.
Jamal was more effective on Saturday than Malachi was, other than the one play Malachi had on the spin out on the touchdown.
Yeah, Hosley.
Neither of them just had any room to operate.
Right. I think Hosley ended up with 30 yards maybe, and I don't.
And 10 of them were on the touchdown.
Yeah. So, did they eat spaghetti at 9 a.m.? It's another question on the board. I don't know. We couldn't get that confirmed.
No, we tried. We asked. I asked. No one was talking about the meal, other than Brent ate his filet before the game.
There's a question about do we have an update on Haynes King's dad? Last time I heard was when Chad asked him about it a few weeks ago, and he said he's doing really well. He came to the game last week.
So we asked him about that after we got done with the record. And he said his dad's doing better and starting to be able to get out and about a little bit. That's why I was able to travel to Atlanta for the game, because it's not like it's a direct flight from Longview to Atlanta. So either he drove to Dallas or somewhere, or he took a connection coming here. So filet of beef.
Not a filet of fish from McDonald's. That would be bad to eat before the game.
Why did Duke slow down the running game? They did a great job of attacking all of the tendencies that Manny can coach in defense, y'all. They sold out to stop the run yesterday, and that's what happens. You get attacked over the top, which is what they did. And you get sucked into play action and and some of the runs were designed to set up those play action passes. So when it looked why are they doing this? It was setting up the long pass to Beetham, which was based off of a run play they had been running successfully. So all of that stuff is part of it.
I think I mentioned that in my takeaways too. There's Duke has very good players on defense. They've got three guys that's going to play a lot in the NFL. And then Manny's a very good defensive game plan guy, and they had 2 weeks to prepare. So yeah, all those. So yeah, I give Duke credit. It's not all Georgia Tech's miscues.
Duke were hat on a hat, and so that they just brought numbers. They sold out. They played man to man outside some. They did what they needed to do to kind of dare them to throw the football down the field. Williams asking about Insider Brunch with whiskey. Yeah, it's come down to I think the price tag for the lunch is going to be really high, so we've been kind of holding off on doing it. But I might try to do something with Brent too. So we'll see. It'll be expensive if Brent's there or a coach. So we've definitely been talking about it though. Doing something where maybe like the money goes to the Tech Way or something like that. So just stay tuned. Keep reminding me about it. I forget. Both Chris and I get pretty busy.
Let's see. Here's one about the board. Have you seen a jump in new subs? And it says Tech should definitely advertise JOL on the jumbotron during games. I don't know if Kelly's buying jumbotron ads on.
I don't have the kind of cash to pay. Those ads are expensive. I don't have the kind of cash to pay for that, but I appreciate it. Yeah, we're doing okay. Probably should run a cool promo soon here with the team doing as they are. I'm going to talk about that this week with HQ. And if you guys do me a favor when I do something like that, pass it along to your friends that are not lunatics. And if there are lunatics who can behave themselves with a modicum of respect online, then they're welcome as well. Doesn't have to be like totally hinged, but not completely unhinged.
They can add to some of the lunatics that we already got, including myself. So
Tashard's in the NFL. That's being asked about in the chat. Tashard's in the NFL now. Once you're in that pipeline, you stay in there unless something, unless you get something else. But yeah, Tashard would like to come back. The plan was for him to come back at some point, but now he's in the NFL. He's going to stay there as long as they'll have him, I think.
Here's one. What's your take on the linebacker slapping our defensive end and getting a
I saw that,
disconcerting
and I didn't realize that was what they were calling the. So that's one of those things you can't see live. So that was down in front of us. I saw him smack the guy in the hip to move him over, and they called that the pretending the snap or whatever, which was kind of crap. Brent called it out in the press conference afterwards. The one thing that y'all didn't pick up on that I've talked about a lot and mentioned on Twitter during the game was they screwed Tech out of 3 seconds at the end of the first half, where they could have probably lined up and kicked a field goal or had a shot at the end zone. On the play where they threw the pass to Canyon, they had gone they got a first down, and the Duke just started running the clock before the ref said, run the clock on my signal, because there was like a whole thing going on and on the field. Duke was trying to stall, and he gave his signal, and the clock was already running, so that burned off 3 seconds. Brent talked about in the post game, and it was a trash move, and Brent was pissed about it after the game. On the ready, and he signaled ready, but the clock was already running. I picked up on it live, mentioned it to some people in the box. They saw the same thing, and then I brought it up to Brent in the post game, and he was like, "Yes, that's what happened." And then he didn't want to talk about something else that happened too that was bad in the game. I think it was maybe Canyon's catch. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was the fake the thing on the end zone with the signaling. That was a bunch of crap because they just smacked the dude on the tush to tell him to move over.
Yeah, because they were misaligned. They had the right side was no defensive end was there.
They did not want to see they did not want to see Georgia Tech's Toro drill there. That's for sure.
I was trying to read through all these right quick.
Basketball stuff, man. I posted this on the board today. Like, to be honest with you, with everything going on with football, we're just kind of in that direction right now until basketball actually starts up. And it's been a little funky. We the longtime SID left. They shifted someone into that role now, so there's a little bit of transition there. So it hasn't been our normal amount of like time with them and stuff. That's all being kind of figured out right now. So.
All right, let's see.
We will get into basketball, though. Trust me.
And baseball, too.
Yeah, Alex was at baseball on Friday night, risking his life trying to drive down the...
Now, that was wild. I thought it was just a normal traffic jam. I didn't know there was a bomb scare and I sat there for about an hour and a half on 75, and people were like getting out of their cars and just sitting on the median. It was odd.
They lost the secret scrimmage versus South Carolina. Jeff Goodman, who now works for our company, had a whole thing on it. Though, don't pay any attention to who wins or loses in the secret. There was a game where Georgia Tech hit like 33 pointers in a secret scrimmage and then sucked that season. So against a good team. So like, I would put 0 in a secret scrimmage.
Here's a question about why aren't we passing the ball downfield? Well, they did pass the ball downfield in the second half yesterday, and that's kind of when the offense opened up a little bit. So that might be something that carries over into the game plans going forward. I think the receivers and King kind of proved something yesterday in the second half with the passing game. So maybe that's the turnaround that we've been looking for to get the vertical passing game going a little bit.
They threw 10 deep passes in the game. And King was 1, 2, 6, 7 of 10 on them. That's pretty damn good.
He just missed the one to Patterson, and he underthrew the one to Rivers. I think they got that interference call on it.
Yep.
So, yeah. I think it's going to happen a little bit more going forward. There's a question about how serious was Georgia Tech on Usmain Chroma last cycle. I think the running back that I don't know if you probably finally told him on the board. The running back they were going after hard was the kid that went to Auburn. They tried to flip late. Henderson, I believe, is the. Not what is his name? That cycle seems like 10 years ago now.
Now we're both looking stuff up.
Yeah. How's the Falcons game going with chat? Give me an update. I've got it.
Alvin Henderson from Elba.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, maybe keep an eye on him. You never know what's going to happen. I don't know anything, one way or the other. If he were to go in the portal, it would shock me to see them kick the tires on that again.
NC State game. I looked at the schedule today for that weekend. I think we might have a chance of a night game for that one.
I think they seem to always get one home night game every year. They try to. Everyone's was mad at me when I said this. That works at the school the other day. I mentioned it before our media avail that I thought that the last media avail on Thursday that I thought there was a good chance that was the pick game, I guess, would be a night game. NC State, I don't know what that one will be. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a night game at NC State because that might allow me to actually do Halloween with my family for selfish reasons. So,
yeah, that ACC schedule is not the greatest that next weekend. So, I think NC State could possibly be a night game. Yeah.
Or it'll be a 3:30 game.
I know Kelly's looking. He definitely wants a night game at Boston College for that.
I do not. I want the opposite of a night game for that one.
That's what I'm saying. You probably haven't snow up
driving there. From Maine down to. So my mom's a twin, and her twin brother are having their 80th birthday that week. So I'm going up to. He lives in Maine now. I'm taking my mom up to see her twin brother for their 80th birthdays. We're gonna have a big celebration up there, and then I gotta drive from Maine down to Boston for the game, and then go back up and pick my mom up and drive her back to Boston. So I need it to not be a night game. That would not be super helpful for me.
I
And
believe
it's only
that.
like an hour and a half drive to where they are in Maine, but still, hour 45.
I think that Boston College weekend is I think Georgia Tech basketball at Georgia that Friday. So I'll be in
Chat's
Athens for
cracking me
that.
up tonight.
But yeah.
The NC State fans are not unmotivated. They are talking. There was one of them talking smack about Tech on my Twitter mentions today, and how Georgia Tech's overrated and blah 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 blah.
Well, as I've said before, Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. So 7-0, 7-0.
Or as the great Jim Morris said, playoffs.
I read through the other. There's a lot.
I
There's a
think
lot
we're
of
at the end of that feeling we have known.
There's a lot of repeat stuff, and yeah.
I appreciate everyone for joining us. We can call it a night there. As always, subscribe to Jackets Online. That helps actually pay our bills on like YouTube, which is like pennies per minute. But subscribe to the site, support Georgia Tech. Show up on Saturday for the Syracuse game. Make your Fran Brown signs if you want. And hopefully we'll be talking about the top 5 rated Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets next week. I don't know who's playing in the top 10 next week, where they could move up. But the way the season's gone, everyone's kind of been hunted every week. So
I think the Dwags are off next week before the Florida game.
I mean, UCLA's been on a roll. Maybe they'll get Indiana.
I don't think Indiana's as untouchable as people have thought in the last 2 weeks. So
You boys going to struggle in Columbia, Alabama? That's Alex's other team.
I've been to a few Alabama games in my lifetime.
I'm guessing the Badgers are not going to get Oregon. Go on a limb on that one.
Yeah, Fickle might be fired before then.
The Aggies could have an interesting game in Death Valley, though.
Oh yeah, Texas A&M's schedule on the back half is brutal. So if
Brad Kelly's coaching for his job right now, I think too. So yeah, there's some opportunities there. Oh, Oklahoma will just jump Ole Miss if they win that game. There's not really anything else. It's a lot of kind of non-fascinating games this week. By the way, I watched in the Texas-Kentucky game. It was one of the worst football games I've ever watched. So
I saw the end. That those two dive over the power plays by Kentucky and
their
overtime
goal
was
line
crazy.
series was unbelievably bad. Oh my god!
Yeah, just running into the pile and jump is pretty.
Run a rollout into no numbers where they actually had defensive numbers against you. That was a great call.
Yep. Hey,
Appreciate everybody though.
Yep, somebody mentioned in the chat earlier too. Section 103 is 10% off for until midnight, I assume. So yeah, take advantage of that for the top 10 ranking.
Nice. So. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining us. Georgia Tech's the new Death Star of college football. And
they're inevitable.
I will happily be the king of y'all. I don't, but I'm not a king. I'm more like a curious observer with a lot of opinions. With Alex as my sidekick.
That's right.
So thanks everybody for joining us, and good luck to the Jackets on Saturday as they try to squeeze the orange.
A little revenge.